Once upon a time, in a land not so far away, I was a thrill seeker, a daredevil, a risk taker, and to be honest, probably a bit of a lunatic. I remember the days when my idea of a good time involved jumping off cliffs, bungee jumping, and consuming food from questionable food trucks. My friends would often say, "You have a high risk tolerance," and I would nod, pretending to know what that meant. But seriously, I thought I was invincible, like a superhero without a cape or, any of the superpowers. I mean, who needs a safety net when you can just embrace the chaos, right? One time, I decided to try skydiving because, well, who doesn't want to plummet toward the earth at 120 miles per hour? I thought, what's the worst that could happen? Spoiler alert, a lot, apparently. As I was strapped into that tiny plane, I felt like a human cannonball, and I couldn't help but wonder if this was the moment I'd finally meet my mate. But then I jumped, and for a split second, I felt like a majestic eagle soaring through the sky. Then I remembered eagles don't usually wear parachutes or have their hearts racing like a jackrabbit on espresso. And let me tell you, the free fall was exhilarating until I realized my parachute was not opening as quickly as I had anticipated. As I pointed out, I thought, this isn't it. This is how I go out. My obituary will read, died doing what he loved, making bad decisions. Finally, the parachute opened, and I floated down like a confused leaf, relieved but also slightly disappointed. You see, that was the last time I experienced that level of risk and excitement, because shortly after, I realized I had more. Ah, the joys of adulthood. Suddenly, my risk tolerance shrank faster than a wool sweater in a hot wash. I traded in my bungee cord for a nice, secure office chair and my thrill-seeking floor. Well, binge-watching shows. Now, my biggest risk is deciding whether to order takeout or try to cook something that doesn't involve a microwave. I once made the bold choice to cook spaghetti from scratch. I still don't know how I ended up with a kitchen that looked like a tornado hit it. And don't even get me started on the time I tried to assemble IKEA furniture without following the instructions. Let's just say my risk tolerance has now shifted to avoiding sharp objects and fires in the kitchen. My friends often reminisce about my wild days and ask, "What happened to you?" And I respond, "I grew up." Well, sort of. I still wear socks with sandals, so maybe I'm just aging like fine cheese. But honestly, I miss that reckless abandon. There was something liberating about not knowing if you'd survive the day. Now, my adventures consist of figuring out how to avoid traffic and not spill my coffee on the way to work. I once thought about taking a spontaneous trip abroad, but then I remembered I'd have to pack, and let's be real, that's a whole risk on its own. So here I am, living the exciting life of a responsible adult, balancing my budget, and making sure my plants don't die. And you know what? Sometimes I think about taking a leap of faith again, like jumping off a metaphorical cliff into the unknown. But then I remember the last time I did that, I landed in a pile of bills and responsibilities. So, I'll stick with my current risk tolerance, which involves debating whether or not to try a new flavor of ice cream. And hey, maybe one day I'll find a way to blend my old thrill-seeking self with my new cautious adult self. Until then, I'll just keep my socks with sandals and my Netflix queue full, because that's the real adventure now.